Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. He was a war hero, a controversial leader, and one of the most powerful presidents in American history. From the battlefield of New Orleans to the White House, Andrew Jackson reshaped the nation, and his legacy still lives on through American currency. Andrew Jackson, the seventh President of the United States, served from 1829 to 1837 and remains one of the most influential and controversial figures in American history. Born on March 15, 1767, in the Waxhaws region along the border of North and South Carolina, Jackson rose from humble beginnings to become a national hero and ultimately the leader of a rapidly expanding republic. His life was marked by hardship, military triumph, political transformation, and deep national division. Jackson grew up during the American Revolution. His father died before he was born, and by the age of 14, he had lost his mother and two brothers to the war. Orphaned and largely self-made, Jackson developed a fierce independence and resilience that would define his character. He studied law in his late teens and moved to Tennessee, where he quickly established himself as a lawyer, landowner, and rising political figure. His early political career included serving as a delegate to the Constitutional Convention of Tennessee in 1796. He became Tennessee's first representative in the United States House of Representatives and later served briefly in the Senate. However, Jackson's true fame emerged from his military career. As a general in the United States Army, he earned national recognition during the War of 1812, particularly for his decisive victory at the Battle of New Orleans in 1815. Though the battle occurred after the Treaty of Ghent had been signed, the news had not yet reached America. The victory made Jackson a national hero and earned him the nickname Old Hickory, reflecting his toughness and determination. Jackson's popularity propelled him into presidential politics. He first ran for president in 1824. In that election, he won the popular vote and the most electoral votes but failed to secure a majority. The decision went to the House of Representatives, which selected John Quincy Adams as president. Jackson's supporters called this outcome a corrupt bargain, claiming that Adams and Henry Clay had made a deal to deny Jackson the presidency. This controversy energized Jackson's political movement and laid the foundation for a new political party. In 1828, Andrew Jackson ran again and won a decisive victory over John Quincy Adams. His election marked the rise of a new political era often referred to as Jacksonian democracy. Jackson presented himself as the champion of the common man, opposing what he viewed as entrenched elites and special interests in Washington. His presidency symbolized a shift in political power toward ordinary white male citizens, as property requirements for voting were being removed in many states during this period. One of Jackson's most significant actions as president was his battle against the Second Bank of the United States. He believed the bank concentrated too much economic power in the hands of wealthy elites and foreign investors. Jackson vetoed the rec charter of the bank in 1832, arguing that it was unconstitutional and harmful to the average American. His veto message strengthened the power of the presidency and demonstrated his willingness to confront established institutions. After winning re-election in 1832, Jackson moved federal funds from the national bank to various state banks, often referred to as pet banks. His actions contributed to financial instability that eventually led to the Panic of 1837, which occurred shortly after he left office. Another defining issue of Jackson's presidency was the Nullification Crisis. In 1832, South Carolina declared that it had the right to nullify or invalidate federal tariffs it considered unconstitutional. Jackson strongly opposed this idea, asserting the supremacy of federal law and the preservation of the Union. Although he was a strong supporter of states' rights in many areas, he made it clear that he would not tolerate disunion. Congress passed the Force Bill, authorizing the president to use military action if necessary. A compromise tariff eventually resolved the crisis, but the episode highlighted tensions between state and federal authority that would continue to grow in the decades leading to the Civil War. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Jackson's presidency was his policy toward Native Americans. Jackson supported the Indian Removal Act of 1830, which authorized the federal government to negotiate treaties that would relocate Native American tribes from their ancestral lands in the southeastern United States to territories west of the Mississippi River. Although the policy was presented as voluntary relocation, it often involved coercion and force. The most tragic result was the Trail of Tears, during which thousands of Native Americans, particularly from the Cherokee Nation, were forcibly removed and suffered immense hardship and death during the journey. This policy remains a deeply painful chapter in American history and a central part of Jackson's controversial legacy. Jackson also reshaped the presidency itself. He expanded the use of the veto power more than all previous presidents combined. Rather than using the veto only for constitutional concerns, he applied it based on policy disagreements. This broadened interpretation strengthened the executive branch. He also introduced the spoils system, appointing loyal supporters to government positions. Jackson argued that rotating officeholders prevented corruption and promoted democratic participation. Critics, however, claimed that the system encouraged favoritism and inefficiency. During his presidency, the United States continued to expand westward. Jackson's policies encouraged settlement and agricultural growth. The population increased significantly, and new states entered the Union. His leadership style was direct and forceful. He often relied on a group of informal advisors known as the kitchen cabinet, bypassing some traditional cabinet members. This approach further demonstrated his unconventional methods and determination to control policy decisions. Andrew Jackson was re-elected in 1832, defeating Henry Clay. His second term continued many of the themes of his first, including opposition to the National Bank and defense of federal authority during the Nullification Crisis. However, economic challenges grew, particularly after the removal of federal deposits from the National Bank. By the time Jackson left office in 1837, economic uncertainty loomed over the nation. After leaving the presidency, Jackson retired to his plantation, the Hermitage near Nashville, Tennessee. He remained influential in politics and supported his chosen successor, Martin Van Buren. Jackson died on June 8, 1845. His legacy has been debated ever since. Supporters view him as a defender of democracy and a strong leader who empowered ordinary citizens. Critics point to his policies toward Native Americans and his role in economic instability as serious flaws. Andrew Jackson's image has appeared on United States currency, most notably on the $20 bill. His presence on American money reflects his lasting impact on the nation's history. The inclusion of his portrait symbolizes both his importance and the complex legacy he represents. Currency often features individuals who shaped the country's development, and Jackson's presidency marked a turning point in American political life. His story is one of resilience, ambition, and transformation. Rising from poverty and personal tragedy, he became a national military hero and ultimately president. He redefined executive power, challenged powerful institutions, and left an enduring mark on American democracy. At the same time, his decisions caused suffering and division, reminding us that leadership can bring both progress and profound consequences. Andrew Jackson's presidency from 1829 to 1837 was a period of change and expansion. It reflected the growing confidence of a young nation and the tensions inherent in balancing liberty, authority, and justice. His life illustrates how individual determination can influence the course of history, and his legacy continues to inspire discussion and debate.